So I had a lot of self-doubt. That's why the title of my book is Journey from Self-Doubter, because that was me to a homeschool advocate. Because once I figured it out, I want everybody to know what a phenomenal thing it is. And what I tell parents is the reason that you doubt your abilities to educate is because you've been taught. You haven't been educated. You've been schooled in our government schools, and there's a difference. And so you've been taught that you can't so that they can keep your children. And the opposite is true. And in fact, you've proven it to yourself because you taught your child how to tie a shoe. You taught your child how to eat with a knife and fork, how to have proper manners. You taught your child up until the age of 5 or the age of 6. And then all of a sudden you're out of here because now it's the time for the school to take over. And it shouldn't be that way. It's wrong. But the reason that you think that you can't is because that's what you've been taught. Now, let me ask you something. What proves an education? What is the proof of an education? It is the ability to actually teach what you've learned. Because if you can't relate it to somebody and teach that person, then do you really know it? And so if you're telling me that you got through high school and you don't know enough to teach a 3rd grader, then I'm telling you, you've been schooled and you haven't been educated. Now, okay, so let's take a step back, because if you're saying that you haven't been educated, well, come on, we're having a reasonable conversation, so that can't possibly be true. So you know the stuff that you know, you just don't know that you know how to teach it, but you do. And so for parents out there, look, the most reassuring thing is it's all in the textbook, but we weren't taught to read a textbook and take the lesson and then incorporate it. We weren't really taught that way. We were taught that you had to be taught by a teacher standing at a blackboard with a, chalk at a blackboard. And that's not the truth. That's just wrong.
But Sam, if I start homeschooling my kids, they're just going to end up as a bunch of weirdo freaks who don't know how to interact with other human beings because they never talk to another child ever.
Yeah, it's a really sad thing. No, that's not true. And colleges these days are actually recruiting homeschooled children because they understand that the education paradigm in the household is a much stronger paradigm. Even your schools are telling us, parents need to be involved. They have to be connected with the kids. They have to do the homework with the kids every day. And by the way, if you're doing homework with your child after school, you're homeschooling. You're just doing it on someone else's sort of turf, and you're kind of pinch hitting, and you're a substitute teacher, and that really puts you at a disadvantage with your relationship with your child. So yeah, it's silly to think. Now, it used to be when people homeschooled, it was because their children were really struggling in the system, and so there was just nothing left for them. But these days, people are choosing to homeschool. You've got a lot of so-called normal kids out there being homeschooled. So yeah, it's and the whole socialization. Well, what about socialization? Well, these days with COVID, forget about it. You're not socializing in school. That's a no. You have to wear a mask, and you have to be behind plexiglass, and you can't look at the other. I mean, I don't even know they're chaining children to their desks these days. People say, well, how do you socialize your homeschooler? My son, my oldest, who was, my guinea pig, he just passed 1 million on TikTok. He got verified. He has no social problems whatsoever. He can teach us a thing or two, actually.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.